Welcome to the channel, everybody. My name is Tank, and this is another edition of my series, Interview with a Roadie. And in this series, I get to sit down with artists, band members, other roadies, and pretty much anybody else in the music industry, and we just have conversations about whatever we feel like talking about. And in today's episode, I have the absolute pleasure of bringing you a recent conversation that I had with Adam Micco, one of the guitarists from Lorna Shore. And I gotta tell you guys, this is one of my favorite interviews I've done on this channel. The amount of openness and honesty that he brought to this conversation is astounding. And on top of that, he's really just a genuine and awesome human being. We got to sit down and talk about what it was like losing a vocalist right before their debut album with Century Media Records came out, and what it was like having to find a new singer, especially with the pandemic going on. And we talked about some of their upcoming shows that they have, their EP that's about to come out, and I got to talk to Adam about his background in guitar playing and some of his creativeness with his music. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this next 50 minutes or so of a conversation between myself and Adam Micco. Welcome back, everybody. Today we have a very special guest. I have the pleasure of having Adam Micco from Lorna Shore with us. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing great. It's a really hot day out, so I'm glad to be sitting in my car in air conditioning right now. So other than that, so far so good. I mean, it's the end of the day, so
how hot is it out there right now?
So today was about like 100 degrees, or that's what the car told me, but that could be deceiving. It felt like 100 degrees. So it was hot and humid and wasn't a good time. So, but now it's like the sun's going down. I'm in air conditioning, so I can't really complain, or I can complain a little bit less.
Yeah. No, I hear you. It's already starting to get brutal here, and it's, the end of June. I know when the next months roll around, it's just going to be humid and miserable, and it's crazy all over, man. Some of our friends we were talking to in Europe said it's been like 90s and hundreds for them, which is unheard of. So, well, thank you very much for taking the time to be here, man. I know you've had a very busy schedule with media and stuff with the new EP and the new releases and stuff. And speaking of that new release, man, it's been a couple weeks since the Hellfire came out, dude. And it's, dude, you guys have got to feel great right now, man. I mean,
it's been weird because I still feel like it hasn't hit me yet, because that's like I'm in like a state of shock. It feels like, because I'm just like didn't anticipate any of this at all. So I'm like, this is not what I expected. So it's just like, I don't know what to do. And it's just really awesome to see it. It's like really overwhelmingly positive. We've never seen the band be perceived in this light. So it's just like, what the hell do we do? We're just always used to being like, yeah, Lorna Shore, it's a cool band, they do good. And like, that's really about it. But to be seen where it's like, you can't look anywhere for like the past few weeks without seeing Lorna Shore, it's been like, this is kind of strange for me. So yeah, it's definitely been really, really awesome. And I just don't know how to react, but we obviously feel really good. It's just definitely a new territory for us.
I mean, it's well deserved, man, because, when it came out, I obviously, I did my reaction to it, and no joke, I'm not even kidding. It's probably since it's came out, it's been the first thing I turn on in my car. Like when I get in my car and run errands and stuff every day, it's just, it's so impressive to me because within the first week, there's already 1 million views on the music video. There's 1 million views on Spotify and on streaming and stuff like that. And one of my friends was talking to me about this recently, and he's like, yeah, for like deathcore in that scene, that's really impressive. I was like, that's really impressive in general. I mean, I was looking at the active rock radio market earlier today, and some of the singles that are on like the top 30 on the radio right now don't have those numbers on streaming and YouTube. So it shouldn't just be labeled as impressive for the deathcore scene. It's a very good accomplishment overall. And, you guys have gone through a lot in the last year, and
yes.
To come back like this, man, has just been, really cool. And I kind of want to ask you about that. And I'm going to do a little timeline series of events, and I'm not going to waste any energy on the story and everything that happened. I assume everybody that's watching this that's fans of the band knows, and if anybody doesn't know, they can look it up. But I want to focus on you guys as a band. But the situation, in short, your original vocalist leaves in 2018. You have a new vocalist come in. You get signed to Century Media, and then right before that album comes out, you have to remove your new vocalist from your band due to a situation that happened. When all of that came up, I just want to get your mindset from a person who has put all of their dedication into this art and this craft and this business for the last 10 years. What was your mentality when this happened? Because I imagine it had to have been shocking and like unknown, because here's a guy that just came in that could possibly derail everything you guys have been working on for 10 years. What was your band's mindset at that point?
I mean, it was definitely like, it was a lot. And then also like in my own personal life, I was getting ready to move to North Carolina simultaneously. So it's just like, it was a lot all at once. And it was like the holidays. And I was just like, what do I do? And like, what can we do? And also during this period of time, the industry shut down. So for like weeks, everyone's like asking us questions. Is the record going to come out? Is the record not going to come out? And like, we had no answer because like everyone knows like right before Christmas to like after New Year's, the industry is non-existent, and like no one's in office, no one's answering, and like this all happened during that period of time. So we're just sitting here like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what's going on. I'm packing up all my belongings to move to North Carolina at the end of January. So I'm like, I don't know what to do. And it was just a lot at once. And you know, it's just like, is this band going to exist? Are we going to exist? What's going to happen? Like, I really have no clue. And like, it was definitely a really, really hard time in my life. You know, and I definitely was at a very, very low point for a period of time. Thankfully, there was so much going on that I couldn't really focus on it because I had to be like, okay, cool. We have to like, we're doing this European tour, so we have to find a fill-in. I'm packing up and moving to North Carolina. We are preparing to release the full length. Like there's so many things going on. It's the holidays. I'm seeing family. So there's so much stuff going on. I couldn't even like sit and dwell on any of this stuff. But like, it definitely was a very hard place to be in. It definitely wasn't an easy place to be in. But thankfully, I had enough on my plate that could, I guess, unhealthily distract me from having to deal with that it allowed me to be like, all right, cool, let's just get through one thing at a time. And it wasn't an easy point in time. I mean, I think when the album came out at the end of January, I didn't really feel anything. I mean, at that point in time, I was literally, I think when the album came out, we were doing one of our trips back to New Jersey from North Carolina to, I'm just in our van that, you know, I used to drive down North Carolina. Like stopping on the side of the road to like, you know, go to the bathroom or get gas or whatever. And like people were tagging me and like Immortal's out. And I'm just like, I don't really feel anything. So I'm literally just been driving for 8 hours to get home, got to our old apartment. And then we didn't have anything in our old apartment. So we just stayed in a hotel, woke up the next day and Immortal's out. I'm just like, I don't feel anything right now because it's just, there's so much going on. And like, I don't even know how to feel. I don't know how to feel good because like, who knows the fate of this band? Like we're about to go on tour to Europe. We don't have a fill in. Like, what the hell do you do? And it was just like, it was a very unclear place to be in. Yeah, it wasn't an easy time. But I think the harder time was, in my opinion, the hardest time was definitely like this time last year, like 1,000%. I mean, I can honestly say it's definitely one of the, if not the hardest time I've ever experienced in my entire life. Was like this time last year, like the summer of 2020 was definitely like, I was absolutely like scared for my life. And I was like scared for myself as someone that like struggles with like depression and stuff like that. I was just like, I don't know, like if I'm going to like, you know, if I'm going to make it out of this, and if I'm being completely frank. And it was a very, very, very scary time. And I think maybe it was just all that stuff that I put aside all caught up to me during like the spring and the summer. And I was just like, I don't know what to do with myself. And it wasn't easy. I will tell you that it wasn't easy. And then when you're constantly seeing comments, when you're constantly getting messages from people being like, your band's going to suck and you made a mistake and all this, that, and the other thing. And just like, man, just, you know, it isn't easy enough to deal with the world going on as is, but you have people on a regular basis just telling you that like your life's work is never going to exist and you're nothing. And I'm just like, thank you. I appreciate it. And I already felt meaningless in the world because the world has decided us not essential. So there's no light at the end of the tunnel. We have no idea when tours are happening, this being like this time last year. And I have fans telling us that you guys are going to be nothing and you're nothing without, you know, these people in your band. I'm like, thank you. Like, thank you for defining my value and worth to the world based off of somebody else. And like, as if that didn't kick you enough, it just, then you have the world around you kind of also kicking you down as a musician. And I know every other musician is feeling that, but it definitely really, I didn't have anything to look forward to. So I definitely was at a very, very, really rough place mentally. Yeah, it was a definitely truly hard time. And I'm just glad that's behind me because like, that was the most scared I've ever been in my entire life. Like scared every day of like, am I going to make it through this day? And I can honestly say that now because I come through it, but like, it wasn't easy. It truly was not easy.
Dude, I've got to take a second and just actually applaud you and just say thank you for bringing that up, because there's a lot of stuff in our industry that, especially when it comes to mental things, people want to bury. People don't want to talk about it. People don't want to admit that they've been going through stuff and stuff like that. 2020 was a year for me as well, where I was having issues, and to help try and solve those issues for me, I decided to get sober when this pandemic started. And it was a weird year all around, man. I kind of relate to what you're saying, because from my perspective, we were on tour, tours got canceled, we're deemed non-essential. We go home and we're not getting paid. I mean, you guys make all of your money when you're touring and selling merch and stuff like that. And all of a sudden you can't do that for the foreseeable future. Cause they probably told you guys the same thing. They told us, they're like, yeah, we're going to go home for like a month, then we'll be back at it. And then it was like 3 months, and then it was 6 months. And then here we are, over a year later. But, so you said you had to find that fill-in singer. And if I'm not mistaken, Will was that fill-in singer for you guys on tour. And now obviously we all know Will's a part of the band. What is your connection there? How did you guys find him and bring him in?
Okay, so I mean, we've known Will for a while now, because like he was in Awaken Providence, like they're from our area. We've played shows with them, like, so we've just known him just from like similar locations. And he's come out to shows every time we play, like Brooklyn or New Jersey. He's come out, and like because he's been friends with members of the band, so we've always seen him around. And then I remember, so during the time trying to look for a fill-in, we were reaching out to a bunch of different people, and a bunch of different people were like covering and doing vocals to the instrumental tracks, and they're sending it into us. And then I don't know what what came first, but I remember I stumbled across his YouTube channel. I saw him doing a bunch of covers, and I was like, man, he's actually like crushing it. I didn't even like know that he like does stuff like this, because I saw that he was in like in like more of like a metalcore band, and I was like, oh, like he just kind of like doesn't do that sort of stuff. And I saw what he was doing on these like covers. I'm like, oh man, he like sounds gnarly. And then I called Austin, and I was like, hey, like, could you, like, I know you have the instrumentals. I'm in the middle of like moving. Can you just send this stuff to like Will? And he's like, ironically enough, someone actually mentioned I should hit up Will. He's like, so you think I should? I was like, yeah, go ahead. Like, I know we have a couple people we're talking to, but like, why not? The more the merrier, the better. The more people we have, the better opportunity to have like, what if someone falls through, or what if something doesn't work? Because like, we were also talking to people like outside of our area, like whether it be in like the South or like in the Midwest or anywhere else. So like, it may fall through. And then within like a couple of days, he sent us like one takes of Death Portrait and Immortal. And I remember like, I don't get floored about vocals. Like, I think vocalists get too much praise and musicians don't. Or people that play instruments don't. So I'm just like, I don't really give a lot of credit to vocals. I'm like, all right, like there's a lot of work that's done on the instrumentation side that doesn't get acknowledged, and everyone just goes, oh, vocals. And this is not a shot at vocalists. It's just like, this is how people perceive like music. It's like, you think frontman, and then you think rest of the band. It's like, this is where it's at. And that's okay. So like, I don't really get excited about vocals. I'm already have this like jaded view of like, fuck these guys, because like they're already getting like more credit than I get anyway. So, but then I saw that, and I was like, dude, this guy is sounding amazing. Like, and I was like listening to his version. I was like, this sounds, in my opinion, more enjoyable of what I envisioned the song Immortal to be like. And then I was like, holy shit. And like, he did it one take, and I was like, this is wild. And then I remember I was like, let me talk to him. And so I was like speaking to him, and I like met up with him. We had a conversation. I just gave him the lay of the land of like the band, what we're looking for. Like right now we're just looking for a fill-in. Like, I just want to be clear. We just need to fill in for Europe. Like if this thing goes well, we can have the conversation. I just want to see where your head is at. So we had like a long conversation or whatnot. And so we decided to go Will for the fill-in, because also just even geographically, it made more sense because we can have more practices with him, because he lives in New Jersey. So it's like, cool, we can have more practices, not to worry about someone traveling, from states away. And then we can only get like maybe like a week of time with them. So we're able to get like, I think 6 to 8 practices in with him before going to Europe. So that was even just a selling point to begin with. And on top of that, like comparable to other people that were sending us stuff, like he was the most readily available to be like, we can go play a show with him tomorrow because he sounds the best right now. So I was like, all right, cool. We can go to Europe. We can do our set. We can get through this, and we can worry about whatever else is going to happen. And then, and the tour was going really well. Like, everyone on tour was like, he sounds phenomenal. Every fan was like, he's great. Like some people thought he was the guy on the record. So I was like, oh, this is like, this is good feedback. And like, and I saw how he was interacting. Like he was hanging out with fans. He was selling merch. He was hanging out with all of us. Like we were in a mini nightliner. So it was us and Ingested, and we're all just hanging out. And I was like, oh, this is nice. Like he kind of fits the vibe of the band, and he's, wants to be around us. He wants to help with the band, like whether it be bringing in gear or that's the tab that it's the quintessential thing that vocalists don't bring in any gear. And he's like carrying my guitars, he's sitting selling merch, he's taking pictures, he's taking pictures with fans, he's like hanging out with everyone. I was like, this is like actually awesome to see this. So from like a touring perspective, I'm like, I actually like being around Will. He does a really, really good job. He's great to be around. He had fun energy, even though like we're dealing with this pandemic. He was like kind of making lighthearted jokes of it, being like, this tour is going to be us trying to escape from Europe. And he was just like having fun with it, where like I am having a full-blown panic attack, being like, I may never come home again. Yeah. And he's just like having fun with it. And it was like nice to be like, your first tour was like a terrible representation of what Lorna Shore is, and you're like having a blast. And I was like, this is awesome to see. So we came home, and then obviously, like you said, the conversation was 2 weeks. And for me, I was like, thank God, because I had a hell of a like first 3 months and I just moved to a new state, and I was like, you know what, I can do it 2 weeks of just doing nothing. I can make sure I got all my stuff unpacked. I moved into my new place. Like I can use the break, And so I was actually looking forward to like the
I was the same way at first too.
Yeah, like I was looking forward to it. I was like, oh cool, it was like 2 weeks, and I was like, all right. And then it was like, oh, a month. I was like, I don't really care. Like leave it till the end of April, like big deal. And then so then at that point in time, the conversation was, hey, we're probably going to look like we're looking at tours for fall. I think, and, in April, it was still like, hey, fall, late summer, early fall into like, the middle, the heart of fall and whatnot to do touring. I was like, all right, cool. I can have a summer off. I never have a summer off. So I can do summer activities. I can go to the beach. I can go do all these sort of things that I never get to do because I'm always touring in the summer. So I was like looking forward to it. And then what our plan was because he did such a good job covering those songs, let's just re-record them, and he can track it, send it to Josh can mix it, and we can just put out a couple of songs unveiling him as the vocalist. And then that stuff got kind of quiet, because then things happened where it was like, then touring wasn't really like, then fast forward to say about like June, July, where it was like, now touring is like not coming back at all this year. There's no light at the end of the tunnel. So then I was like, all right, so why rush to do this, because there's no reason to. Yeah. Also, he was not around, so we were have to like wait till like maybe like June or July, like later, like into July to do this. So I was like, all right, cool, we have time anyway. So when he gets back in July, maybe we'll kind of reassess it. And by the time he got back, it was like, there's no reason to do this. And then for me, I was still not 100% sold, not because of him, but just like my thing in the back of my mind was, great, you can cover our material, and not diminishing it, but you can cover our material. But my big thing is like the future. How would you sound on a brand new Lorna Shore song? Like, what if you don't fit? What if you like what you write about doesn't work? What if vocally doesn't work? What if what we write doesn't work for you? So like, I don't want to just put someone in and all of a sudden we go to the studio and this doesn't work out, and then we have to like go through the whole process of finding someone else again, and we announce, hey, we got a new vocalist. Just kidding, we got to go find a new vocalist. And that just seems even worse. So like, let's just take advantage of this time and try to figure out if he's the right fit. So
well, I think it worked out pretty fucking good.
It definitely worked out really, really well. But how we got into the studio was not because of that, but it was because of, I guess, a conversation I had with Austin. Because I was living in North Carolina, so I was always calling home all the time and calling friends back at home. And I called Austin, and I think our guitar player Andrew was over his house as well. And I remember I was just like, just feeling down in the dumps. I was feeling unmotivated, like with guitar, and I wasn't even playing guitar anymore. I was like, I just don't have an urge to play guitar because there's no reason to anymore. Yeah. And I remember I made this like statement that I'll never forget. I remember I was on the phone and I was like, if I don't play guitar for the next 2 months, nothing will change. And not that like me playing guitar changes the world, but the fact that like, if I do play guitar or don't play guitar, like the world's still going to be in the same position. So it doesn't matter if I do or don't play guitar. And that made me realize like what I do is kind of meaningless. And I have no sense of, there's no reason for me to play guitar. And then I like, after I got off the phone, I started like pondering, and I was like, yeah, because like, why am I not able to write anything? Because like, I was like, oh, we'll take advantage of the time being home. Let's start writing some new music. But like, I wasn't really able to write anything because like I had no purpose. So then I think the next day or that same day, I called our A&R from Century, Mike Gitter, who's the guy that signed us. And I was like, hey, are you like against us going into the studio? And, we had a conversation going back and forth and whatnot. And like, the thing that he said to me was like, listen, whatever you think is the best way for you to come back, do that. And I was like, after I hung up the phone, I was like, there's no chance in hell we're coming back and just covering old Lorna Shore songs. That's not the strongest way. That to me is like really weak. I was like, the best way for me is doing new material. So I called, and he said, if everyone's on board, maybe we can figure something out. And I said, okay, cool. I called the band and I was like, hey, do you guys want to go like maybe we could do like a single or 2 singles or whatever it may be. And everyone's like, yeah, why not? I call management and I explained them my situation. I was like, hey, I think I want to come back as strong as possible. It makes the most sense to make sure Will's a good fit with new material, not old material. Like, could we go into the studio? I talked to Josh and I was like, Josh, are you taking bands? Like, you know, do you have time available? He said, I got time available in November. And I was like, I made sure all the stars aligned. And I was like, you know what? Now I have something to work for. And then Century came back to us and was like, you guys can't do a full length because of like contractual obligations. That's what album cycles are. So he's like, we'll be able to do an EP. And I was like, okay, cool. We'll do a 3-song EP. Perfectly fine. I'm not sure if I'm at liberty to say so, but whatever. Maybe get an introduction of why it's an EP, not a full length. It's not like the band was lazy, but like there's certain things that you can't do, which is why album cycles do exist.
There's a lot of business stuff that people not in the music industry don't know about. And that's why they're like, I saw a couple comments like, why don't they just do a full new album? And I was like, it's probably label stuff going on that they aren't able to right now, you know?
Exactly. So they wouldn't have freed up funds because it's like not part of the contract. So I was like, okay, cool. Like you're willing to like figure out a way to do this EP, like that works for me. And then they suggested the EP where I just want to go and do a couple of singles and just like release it. They're like, hey, let's just do like a nice packaged EP. And I was like, okay, cool. So they came back to us about, I'd say about August or, you know, somewhere around then. And we're like, cool, let's go do an EP. We locked in time with Josh. Everything was all set in stone. And then myself, Andrew, and Austin were just kind of like brainstorming on like, what do we want this EP to be like? And I think I still have the notes in my phone, and like literally the EP is exactly what we've described. You know, we're like, the first song is going to be this heavy, dark song with 3 breakdowns. That's going to be a softball for vocals. I just described Hellfire to you.
Really quick, I wanted to just throw this out there because when I first heard To the Hellfire, that seemed like a statement. To me, when I heard that song, that seemed like a statement. We're back. Here's our new vocalist. We are going to be good without our old vocalist. Here it is. Because, I mean, like I said, you see the response online and people are just like, holy shit. Like, and Will, in my opinion, fits your band perfectly. So was that the intention with Hellfire, was just, this is our statement that like, we're here?
I think it was more so like when we were conceptually thinking about the album, it was like we wanted to make sure we touched all 3 elements of the band. So we want to write like a heavy song that's like super dark and heavy and like relentless. So that's like what Hellfire is. We want to write like a classic Lorna Shore song, and we wanted to write a really like melodic, emotive, like metal song, and like kind of just display the band and all its characteristics. So like that's kind of what it was like in the inception. Like we didn't really make a decision on doing Hellfire till like after the song was recorded. But basically it just, we had a vision for the EP. We're like, listen, we know Will's capabilities, so we want to give him songs to display all of his capabilities with all types of styles. So if you like the heavy side of Lorna Shore, we can display that. If you like the classic, like symphonic, like, you know, deathcore, you know, classic immortal sound, we have a song like that. If you like the emotive, like metal melodic side of the band, we have that too, just so we can just like touch all of our bases to show, hey, here's his versatility, here's what he can do with different styles of songs. So if you have doubt in either us or if you have doubt in him, we're here to tell you, we're here to pretty much prove you wrong. So that was basically like kind of our intentions, because like all I noticed all last year was just the doubt. It was just the constant doubt, lack of confidence, lack of trust, lack of faith, and just wrote us off. And I was like, you know what? I appreciate that. And a part of me was angry, but like I was like, you know what? I'm going to use that to channel and write it into our music, and just be like, kind of just basically give you 2 middle fingers to be like, you're an idiot, you're wrong, and how about you go fuck yourself and like keep your opinions to yourself, because you can't tell the future. And if you could tell the future, you wouldn't be on the internet. You'd probably be a millionaire and wouldn't care about my band at all. And that's my stance.
And that's the problem with, you know, social media and the internet nowadays, is it's a double-edged sword, man. In one sense, for music, there's an outlet where people get to discover stuff from all over the world that they've never had access to. And there's new bands being discovered, and there's new exposure for bands and stuff like that. But on the flip side, you've got anybody that could just say whatever the fuck they want without knowing anything about the situation that's going on. And I mean, I saw it, dude. Like, I was introduced to your band from Immortal. And that was the funny thing to me, was like, even just then discovering your band, I was already seeing the comments where people were like, this band's nothing now that their vocalist is gone. I was like, yeah, but this band's been around for 10 years. He was only here for a year. Like, and you know, and with signed bands and bands that have been around for a while, life goes on, man. I mean, very rarely will it be one band member that leaves a band that dissolves the entire band. And especially considering that yourself and Austin have been in the band for the better part of a decade.
Mm-hmm.
If it wasn't one of you two guys leaving, I was like, they're going to be fine. They'll find somebody. There's somebody that's going to fill these shoes and be totally fine. And the recording, I actually, I saw your guys' TikTok and I was dying about the whole mixing and stuff.
Yeah.
But you guys recorded with Josh Schroeder.
Yep.
And did you actually go to Michigan to record with him, or did you record at home and send him stuff?
No, we went with it because we asked him, like, are you cool with us coming? He's like, yeah, like, I don't leave my house anyway. So like, he like quarantines even before quarantining was a thing. So he's just like, yeah, like you can come. I'm not sure if I'm, I was like, you sure? I was like, and I even got tested before. I was like, yeah, listen, I got tested anyway. Like I'm all good. And he's like, yeah, like I don't even if I got it, I don't leave my house anyway. So I was like, okay, cool. Like if you're cool with it, like, and if you're okay with it, like, then I'll go. I was like, if you want us to like work around it, like we'll figure it out. But he's like, no, like it's fine. And I was like, okay. And we went there, and obviously it was an awesome time because it was one of my favorite things I did last year because, like, quite frankly, he's one of my favorite people in the world. Like, under the sun, hands down, like one of the best people on the planet. And like, I don't think I met anyone like him. And I just love being around him because he's just like, it makes recording music that much fun. And he makes, again, many times in a band, or a band goes to a producer, most producers, they look at least how it feels, looks at me as if like what you want to do is kind of like, it's insignificant, or like what you want to do is like too crazy. So they kind of like step down on my creativity. Whereas Josh is like, please no, go as insane and crazy as possible, because like, let's just bring you out. Like, that's how you are. You're a very crazy, kind of off the wall, high threshold, intense person that needs to come out in your music. We're not going to step down on it. So the fact that I had a producer accept and understand me rather than like stifle down on me and be like, well, it's not really about you, it's all about vocals. And I'm just like, okay. And I literally gave a producer 2 fingers and I said, go fuck yourself, I'm leaving, you can do this shit without me. And I'm like, you're not going to sit there and diminish me when I'm sitting there writing the song because you've decided that I am insignificant in your eyes. Or like, oh, don't do this because you have to do these rules, or you have to do these rules, or you can't do this thing, or you can't do that thing. And he's very much just like, no, like, this is who you are as a person, this is what you like, this is kind of how you are. Like, bring that out in your music, because like, there is no other band that has all your members and all your personalities. So like, put that in your music to make you unique. And the fact that he understands that makes him, in my opinion, one of the best producers, because a lot of these producers are all about like this technical application of sound rather than like bringing out the actual artist. And he is such a good person to bring out the artist and understand every person in the room in that band. And I just think that just, for me, it just felt good to be like accepted and understood and be like, you're nuts and crazy, make your music nuts and crazy. So it's like, and not in a judgment sort of way, but it made me feel like, oh, I can be myself. Like, this is cool. Cause like, I struggle a lot in my life to like be myself. And this one person's like, no, please be as much as you as humanly possible. And it's just awesome
huge.
It's awesome to exist in that world.
Yeah, that's huge, man, because there's, like you said, there's so many producers that they want to put the aspect on different things, and like, they have a vision for your music, if that makes sense. Like, I've worked for bands that their first couple albums, they worked with a smaller producer that understood them and let them be themselves, and they had really good records. And then they're like, well, hey, let's go try recording this album with this really well-known producer in this big studio. And then they put that album out, and it's so different and weird because they weren't allowed to be themselves. They had somebody else that was trying to control all their creative stuff. And man, it's just, me personally, I know I saw the comments online and stuff, and everybody has an opinion. People that don't even know how to mix sound or record anything have an opinion, but I personally thought it was a really good mix. And my reasoning behind that was, I felt like he really paid attention, and this is just specifically the vocals, because that's what everybody's been talking about the mix wise. Mm-hmm. Musically, I thought it was phenomenal, dude. Like, there's some parts of that song in the chorus with your guitar playing and the symphonic elements that when it leads out of the chorus and there's that big like symphonic moment, and dude, mm-hmm. I get fired up when I hear that, man. I love it. But I thought that Josh did a really good job balancing the vocals. You could tell he was bringing them up and down at certain points to like give it the feeling and the intensity, because like, you'll notice before some of those big breakdowns when Will's doing highs, they're a little low, but then when that the harsh, like the growls and the gutturals come in for a breakdown, it's massive. Like, I actually think that's a phenomenal mixing job. Rather than just flat across the board, he paid attention to the feeling and the emotion in it. I thought he did a really good job with it.
He gives it life. He gives it
Yeah.
life, and also, like, not for nothing, the band signs off on it. It's not like we don't know what this is going to be, and it sort of gets turned in. Like, we go through mixed note phases where it's like, no, can we do more of this? Can we do more of this? Can we do less of this? We need to do more of this? And like, he understands that, like, right now, like, this part right here is meant to be about instrumentation, or this part right here is meant to be about vocals. So like, he plays with doing simple automation, or not simple, but like using the simple idea of automation of like, okay, let's mess with that, because like right now this part is important, so let's highlight this. Stepping down on this important part with vocals for the sake of vocals makes no sense. But then again, when a part that's really important to vocals, it's highlighted and it's there. So it's just like, and again, at the end of the day, the band signs off on it. He signed off on it, and like, and he also had and like, as he mentioned, we're the hardest band he has to mix because it's such a very difficult thing to mix. So he had a hard time. And I think it sounded great. We're super happy with it. It sounds better, in my opinion, than Immortal. It crushes that much more. Has more umph to it. It has like that much more feel. And I just feel like it has a characteristic to it, which you want a mix to have a characteristic that kind of fits the song. So for me, it's like, it fit the vibe of the song. And like, it would be like if you watched a horror movie and then they play, the score was some like epic, triumphant, like Lord of the Rings sounding song. Like, the two things wouldn't match. You wouldn't have this like dark, scary thing, and then you have this like triumphant, like bombastic, like here's a cavalry horns thing. You'd be like, this literally makes no sense right now. You want to have this super tense, dark sounding thing with this tense, dark feeling moment in the movie. So it's like the mix fits that. The mix is kind of a little dirty, little grungy, and a little bit of like, kind of, it's polished, but it's also not like pristine, and it has a little character to it, which is why we like it. So I don't know. Everyone's an engineer nowadays. Everyone knows everything because they watch 3 YouTube videos. They bought Fab Filter Pro Q, and now they know how to use it. And they bought the Slate bundle, and now they're like, I know how to mix everything because I spent $400 on Slate bundle, Pro Q, and Invasion drums. And those are all good products, but just because you own a product doesn't mean you know how to use a product. And I'm just like, this is interesting that you never mixed anything or got paid to mix anything. This guy has a house paid for from stuff that he mixed. I'm going to take his opinion more than you who had just based off of your preference. So that's my stance on that.
Dude, no, totally. And it's like, it's just funny, and it's everything, man. Like, you know, when I do my reaction videos, when I talk gear and production and stuff that people are using, I am using my experience from touring and the instruments I've worked on to explain what people are using. Right. And I still have people that will leave me comments and be like, no, dude, you're fucking wrong. And I'm like, how? And they're like recently I did a video where I pointed out that somebody was using a specific bass, and somebody's like, yeah, you're fucking wrong. I'm like, you care to explain? They're like, I looked at Ibanez's website and they have him listed as playing this guitar. And I'm like, okay, first of all, we all know that these companies are not good at updating every instrument that their artists are playing. But second of all, just because it has that listed doesn't mean that's the only bass he's ever going to play. Like,
right.
Trust me, like, there have been times on my videos where I've been wrong. I've corrected myself. Speaking of gear, I wanted to ask you, you know, one of the things I noticed just from looking at your social media, I've worked with a lot of guitar players. I've been around a lot of guitar players and stuff like that, and really good ones. But you're one of the few that strikes me just from seeing your Instagram posts where you're always playing, you're very critical of yourself, you teach people and you do stuff like that. You seem to like really live and breathe just guitar. And it's really impressive, man. Like, how did you get started? Like,
so okay, sorry if it's raining. I'm just caught in a lovely storm. So I'm just making it real raw.
No, this is great. I fucking love this.
But so I started picking up guitar at 18. I am 33 right now. I didn't grow up playing music. I grew up playing sports, and then I bought my first guitar on my 18th birthday with my paycheck working at a supermarket. Then from that point on, it was just like I was just fascinated with the instrument, and I was just fascinated with the sound, and like wanted to get better, and was hearing, you know, better music where like guitar was like a like being displayed in a cool way, and then, you know, just finding cool guitar players and just like being like, I want to do that, and then I want to do the next thing. I want to do the next thing. And I just kind of loved it because it's just like, now it's just a tool where I could be like emotive and, you know, create create who it is that I am. Because like for a while, it's just like I want to be able to do these cool tricks. I would listen to like Ingve Mountain and be like, how do you do that on guitar? Or listen to like Paul Gilbert, or like, then listen to bands like Necrophagist or The Faces. Like, how do you make that sound on guitar? And now it's more so just like how I use it now as a tool to be like, how do I express myself to put myself forever on this thing that it will exist for eternity. Like I tell people all the time, the name immortal has nothing to do with anything other than like, that's my way of existing without existing. It's my way of being like, I can exist when I'm no longer here, and I will forever be immortal in that. And that's my job as a musician, is I can exist. We know who Beethoven is, we know who Bach is, we know who Mozart is, and they've been gone for forever. And they still exist today, to some extent, not exist in the walking around sense, but exist like they still are in essence. And I think, to me, that's just kind of my stand now. It's like I'm allowed to now cement myself on this thing that can exist for all eternity. And my personality is going to always be on this thing. And like, it will be injustice to myself to not do that and just kind of like, oh, let me just go through the motions and use logic and reasoning and good decisions, rather than like, Adam, put yourself on a record, leave yourself behind, and just be okay with being yourself and just put it all on an instrument. So like, that's just kind of what music is for me. And obviously I like doing cool tricks. I like learning new cool things, but like, I don't know, I just kind of like, I got a big heart. I wear it on my sleeve and I just display it on everything I do. And like, guitar is just one of those things that like, I get to display who I am as a person, and you can listen to our music and you can know who I am, and we don't even need to speak the same language. And like, to me, that is the most fascinating thing. Like, there's people who don't speak our language, listen to our song, are moved by it. And I'm like, we've never had a conversation. We never had a one-on-one conversation. We probably can't even have a conversation because of the language barrier, but like, you understand me. Yeah, and to me, that's just like, that just makes it so important for me.
That is such a fascinating take on that, man. Again, going back to like, I don't keep getting into my background, but I've worked with a lot of people, and I don't think I've ever heard anybody explain something like that. Like, to really leave your mark and put your creativeness and your emotional stamp on that. I mean, and that's a great point. It's like, people could leave this world tomorrow, but their work would be here. That if they put music out like that, the work would be here. And that's fascinating, man. That's really, really deep. Like, I wasn't expecting something.
No,
like
I mean,
that.
It really is. And like, again, as I mentioned before, I struggle with depression. As I mentioned last year, like, I was at a very all-time low, scared for my life. And it's like, that, if I don't leave myself behind, like, that could be it. You know what I'm saying? And like, and that to me is like, it's something that I keep in the back of my mind and I think about, but it's like, that's why I put everything I have into this music. And I put everything of myself into it. And I don't really leave any stone unturned. And I tried to do my best to leave every ounce of myself on, whether it's 3 songs, whether it's 1 song, whether it's 10 songs, because like, this thing that maybe I struggle with could have the best of me. And all I have and all anyone else has is just that. And at least to me, I feel like I left my stamp on the world. I left my legacy behind, and I can exist without existing. And like, to me, not to get it just, that's what motivates me, I guess.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. This is one of my favorite conversations I've had so far.
Awesome.
Everything. It's like, I love this, man. I love when, you've been in the music industry, sometimes you don't get the emotion and the honesty out of everybody at face value, because people are too worried about like their image and what they're saying in public and stuff like that. I appreciate that you're just so honest and open about everything, man. That's really cool.
Anyone who knows me, anyone who's friends with me, everyone pegs me as I'm the most honest person. I am the friend that you call to get information that you don't want to hear, but you have to hear it. I am the most blunt, honest, authentic person I could possibly be, because like, I spent my whole life trying to fit in and not be myself, that now that I am myself, like, I'm only going to be myself, and you're gonna have to experience every ounce of who I am.
Very, very much relate to that.
Right.
Like a lot. That was like the whole thing, me coming up in bands and stuff like that. It's like, I spent a lot of my young life struggling I just wanted to be accepted and fit in somewhere, man. And then we
all do, right?
And everything takes on different forms. And for me, going back to the substance abuse stuff, it's like, even working in country music for the past 5 years, like, those guys, it's like a job requirement that they have to party every night. And like, it's ridiculous, dude. Like, I've toured with like some pretty big rock bands, and I've never seen partying like I've ever seen in country music. It's absurd. And it kind of wore off on me. It was like, literally, it was like, one day it just hit me. Like, I'm like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. And the majority of it was, again, it was trying to fit in. It was trying to be accepted by people and people think I'm cool and stuff like that. And just one day it clicked in my head. I was like, I don't need to do this. If these people don't accept me because I'm not getting shithoused every night with them, I don't care. Like,
Yeah, I feel that because we definitely had a really bad, not bad, we had a really heavy party phase and for a couple of years, and it definitely took its toll on me, and definitely like, messed with my head a lot more. And it was an unhealthy relationship, and I don't know. I think we all want to fit in, and
yeah,
I think for me now, I'm at the point where like instead of worrying about judgment of someone who doesn't accept me, I'm I'm more concerned that there may be someone out there that hears my words and like motivates them to like do the thing they want to do. Because my big thing is like, you might as well just do the thing that you want to do in life. Like, just be yourself, do the thing that you want to do. And if I am a person or someone like me as a person to motivate you to do that, I'm more concerned about that person hearing my words, being like, you know what, I'm gonna take a chance to do this thing and follow my dreams. I'm not worried about someone who doesn't know me judging me because the fact that I'm honest, open, vulnerable, emotive, whatever it may be. Like, I don't care. I don't know you. Have a conversation with me. If we don't get along with each other, there's a million billion people in this world. Like, by all means, if I look to that message I get once a week of like, hey, you inspired me, you saved my life. Like, that to me is way more impactful than getting cool points for some dude that like I don't really give two shits about, that I can play guitar around anyway.
Dude,
so honestly, like, not to like toot my own horn, but like, I'm like, why must I impress you? Not that I think I put myself in this hierarchy, but like, I'm trying to impress you when you've been an asshole, you've been a shithead, you treated us poorly, and I gotta like impress you. At the end of the day, like, you can't even play your guitar. I'm cool. I'm gonna go like try to have a conversation with someone that like cares to have a conversation with me. I don't need to impress someone that like I don't even know and I don't even care about, and like has nothing to offer me other than like cool guy points and just getting drunk in the backstage area and talking to me about literally zero. I'd rather have a conversation with some kid who just like loves music and loves to talk about it and loves to connect and likes to play guitar and like wants to pick my brain at that. So to me, like, that's why I put myself out there, because that could benefit that kid. And honestly, probably something deep unconsciously in me could benefit 16-year-old version of myself, you know?
Dude, you're a fucking beauty, man. There needs to be more people with that mentality, because everything you've been saying makes great points, man. It's stuff that took me about like this long in life to realize too. The last year or so of my life has been the most freeing I've personally had as well, for the same reasons that you're mentioning. It's like, I don't like, and we've had a lot of life changes too. Like, my wife and I just had our first kid and stuff like that. And I realize there's so many more things that are important to us in life than people thinking I'm cool. And like, it's like, I'm over it, man. So, I've had you here for a while, but there's a couple more things I just want to bring up.
Sure.
You guys have a big hometown show coming up. And is this the first show you've had like since pandemic started?
Yeah, so these are the first 4 shows we're playing. So the EP release is going to be like technically the second one. So we have a show in Hartford, which is going to be a good warm up for a hometown show. So sorry for people in Hartford if you're coming out. We're going to do our best to be as great as possible, but you are a warm up for New Jersey. But we obviously treat every show the same. But it's just, I am honestly stressed out about the New Jersey show, because every day I look, someone just like, hey, I'm coming to that Jersey show, and I'm like, I'm excited for the show to be packed, but like, God damn, there's like so many people coming out, and like, we haven't had a hometown release show since our EP Malficium. So it's kind of like this weird like cycle, because it's like we released an EP called Malficium in a VFW in Manville, New Jersey in 2013, and it was like a hometown show and it was awesome. And now it's like fast forward to releasing another EP in Asbury, New Jersey, where it's another kind of hometown show and everyone's coming out. I'm like, and it's even like similar people that were in that room are going to be in this room. So it's definitely tripping with me, because especially I get all spiritual and woo woo. So I'm like, all right, what does this mean for everything? Is this like a new rebranding, a new cyclical chapter? I don't really know. But anyways, yeah, I'm just really excited about that. It's weird because like I have to relearn songs that I already know, and I've been trying to reverse, and it's been really, really hard. But it's been fun. It's been cool to like have a purpose to like practice these songs outside of like teaching them to students. So people will be like, hey, how do I play Immortal? Now it's like, okay, Adam, how do you learn Immortal again? Because now you can't just explain to students. Now you need to like literally learn it and be able to perform it. So I'm excited. I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be a really awesome show. So if you're planning on coming out, please do. I don't know when this comes out, but if you are going to season 4 comes out, please come out, say hi to me. or say hi to someone in the band or just watch us. I really don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just really excited. I
Dude.
just want all the love in the room. So I'm just really, really looking forward to it.
Oh man, I'm so excited when I see stuff like that. You gave me a flashback when you said VFW hall, dude. When I was in a band, we played so many VFW halls and stuff like that. And like I relate. I saw an Instagram post yours, and I just want to bring this up because I felt it so much. I saw you post about your hometown show, and you're like, if anybody that says they care about me and they support my band isn't at this show, don't ever talk to me again. I fucking felt that so much because, dude, when I was in a band, and we used to play all these venues in Chicago all the time, like Metro, House of Blues, all that stuff. When we started getting big, all your friends and everybody you know always says like, yeah, I love your band, man. And like, we're here to support you. And then when you get back into town and you do a hometown show, you see like 10% of those people. And it's always something. It's like my best friends growing up, like I think 2 of them have seen my band play. And it was always the same thing. It was like the next day, somebody's like, oh dude, something came up and I couldn't make it. I'm like, okay, I get it. Like,
yeah, I don't have any sympathy for anyone that tells me like they care about me, because like my sister, who doesn't like music, doesn't like this music, my cousin who also does it, and his wife is coming to the show, and the fact that like they're just coming simply to support me and they don't listen to my band, like, and I don't fault them for it, like, but the fact that they're there, and then there's people that I've known for years and I know I'm gonna get that message, dude, like, and there's people already messaging me being like, listen, I can't because of work, here's all these sort of things. I'm like, I understand, and you're a homie anyway, like, and I know you would be there, like, I understand it, but there's some people I'm just like, will be like, yeah, I wish I went, but like I got diarrhea or some sort of bullshit excuse. And I'm just like, I'm not going to buy that. I'm not going to put that down. And then please don't hit me up. And then following next time we play the area, be like, can I get guest list? Cause I will drag you if you do that. I promise you, you will not hear the end of it. But yeah, I mean, I just want to see everyone in the room. I'm just really excited because like, we haven't really played a show. I haven't seen everyone in a long period. I've only seen like a handful of people like in the past year and a half, almost like, so I would love to see everyone that, it can come out. And if you can't come out, I mean, I'm not gonna hate you, but that was literally my slogan. It's like, if you don't come out, I now hate you. And that's just me being, dude,
I've guest listed people that haven't showed up. Dude, I had a buddy when I was on tour working for, what tour was that? I was working for the country guy I've been working with. We were on tour with Luke Bryan, and we were doing Wrigley Field in Chicago. Shows like that, it's hard for crew guys to get guest list spots. I had a buddy who is not only a huge Cubs fan, but a big Luke Bryan fan. And he's like, is there any chance you can get me on the guest list for this show? I would love you forever. Like, Luke Bryan's drummer is one of his favorite drummers. And I like, dude, I pulled so many strings and I made this happen. And dude never showed up. And
what a waste.
My tour manager calls me into the office and he's like, hey, your guest didn't show up. And I was like, that looks bad on us. And I'm just like, I literally texted him. I was like, you're cut off for life. Don't ever ask me for this again. It's not happening. Like, dude, there's so many little things like that people think it's so easy because they think it's because it's your show. You can just do whatever you want. And it's not how that works at all. But getting past that, the EP comes out August 13th. Pre-orders have been available. I already got mine. I'm super stoked on it. What is the best way, coming from you that's actually in the band, what are some of the best ways that people can support your band if they want to, whether it's the outlets that they get the music from or anything outside of buying things? Like, what are things people can do to help you guys out a ton?
I mean, honestly, for me, I think the best way is just share it. I think that, like, obviously people are like, what gives you the most money? And I'm like, well, not really any of it, to be completely honest. But I mean, honestly, like, if you want to buy it from like one of our merch stores, like that obviously will come to us. But for me, I think seeing how Hellfire has turned out is because of how much word of mouth has been spread. Like, to me, I think that is the best way to help us, is like, if you like it, share it till you can't share it anymore. Like, tell everyone that if you care about something, like, just every single person, you're like, you like metal, listen to this record, like, that's all I ask. I feel like that's just, to me, is like how you can support us the best. But to me, realistically, what I want people to do is like put on the record, sit down in a quiet place and shut up and listen to a record. Don't put it on while you're going to the gym, while you're driving to work, while you're walking to work, while you're doing work from home. Like there's been a loss in music appreciation because music has become a secondary thing while we're doing something else. I just want to get music back to a point where like you could sit, and I try to do the same thing too. Like just what you're doing is the fact that you're just listening to music, not like, oh, I'm gonna put it on and I'm gonna go, go hit some weights at the gym. And I'm not saying that's wrong, but I'm saying to really understand the music, to understand what is going on, just sit down, listen to the record and just appreciate it, because like we put our heart and soul into it. And if all I want is people to appreciate it, and like whether I make a dime, a dollar, or whatever amount of money, it doesn't really matter. I just care someone listens to it and can appreciate it. And like, that means the world to me. Like, yes, I want to make money and to be able to support myself and not be in a car right now and I can, and not leaving work and whatnot. But again, at the end of the day, the thing I care the most about is like taking the time to like appreciate what is it that we do, and just sit down, put some headphones in, listen to it, and just take it all in, rather than talking to your friend about while you're listening to this. Like, just all I ask is just do that. And then if you like it, tell everyone under the sun. And that's all I want to do. And if you want to buy it, go to any sort of website and buy it, cool. Like, that's awesome. That's a bonus. But like, all I care about personally is just listen to the record, appreciate it, and like tell everyone about it, because like that helps us, I think, the best, in my opinion. Doesn't really give me monetary success. It doesn't put me in a new tax bracket, but like, at least it shows that like you're taking what we do serious, and that's all I care about.
Yeah, dude, it's another thing, man. I gotta say, I've loved this conversation because I've stuck to that, what you just said, for a long time. Don't get me wrong. When I go to the gym, I listen to music and stuff like that. But
so do I.
When I get a new album, I literally sit in this room and I usually turn off the overhead light and I literally just put my in-ears in and I just sit. Because it's like, you see people that when people watch sports on TV, what are they doing? They're watching it. They're sitting and watching it. They're paying full attention. The same should be done with music. To really fully appreciate what you're listening to, you should try and shut off all the distractions around you. Even if it's just one time when you get an album, turn off all the distractions, appreciate everything that's been created, because a lot of time has gone into it. Dude, thank you so much. These conversations, for me, especially, again, being a music industry guy, like, I love this, dude. I have so much more respect for your band and you and your art and everything now after talking to you. Like, thank you very much for taking the time. I've seen it go from day to night and sun to rain and everything.
Yeah, I mean, this is, I'm just being as real as I can possibly get. But I do want to say, I do appreciate you doing this. The fact that someone wants to ask me about what is it that we do as a band and what is it that I do, my thoughts and perspectives, like, mean the world to me, because I'm a nobody from nowhere. And the fact that someone's trying to make me somebody from somewhere is beyond me. And it's awesome that you give me a chance and a platform to be able to speak on it. Whether one person watches it, 100 people watch it, the fact that you took time out of your day to want to speak to me means absolutely more than I could ever say in this video.
Well, you just made my night, man. I appreciated this so much. I'm going to let you get going and have a good night. But again, new EP, August 13th. I will put links and tons of stuff in the description for anybody that happens to watch this, if you'd like to support the band. But I'm excited, man. And again, thank you so very much for your time. I hope that one of these days, once touring gets going, where we just happen to be in the same place, so I can actually come see you guys and hang out. So we'll
definitely hang out. We're in the same place. We'll hang out. We won't grab a beer. We'll just hang out and chit chat, and that'll be awesome. I look forward to it.
If that's your thing, you can do it. I'll join you. I have no problem doing that.
I barely drink at all, so so it doesn't really matter to me.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you, man. Have a wonderful, wonderful night, and hopefully I'll catch up with you soon.
Absolutely, you too. Thank you so much.